I guess I'll start, and we can see if people roll in or not, because I was supposed to start 7 minutes ago. So I'm going to talk about finding success in contribution, or in contributing to Drupal. And I basically want you to ask this question, like, if you want to contribute back to Drupal, what do you do to make it successful? Or how do you do it successfully? Or how do you define success? I guess that's a difficult one to answer in this session, but we'll see where we can get. But first, let me introduce myself a bit. So my name is Joris. This is my first time being in Poland. It's my 26th DrupalCamp talk in 10 years. I help organize events in Belgium. So this year I got to do a Q&A together with Dries at Drupal Dev Days like 2 months ago. That was quite scary, to be honest, but also very fun to do. So why should you trust me? Why am I not just some random guy talking out of my ass? Well, I kind of am, but I also have like about 1,400 contribution credits on Drupal.org. I've been doing Drupal since 2012 and PHP since 2008. And Dries used to write a blog post every single year about who contributes to Drupal. He did it 5 years in a row. And he highlighted like the top 30 contributors that year. I was in that article 4 out of 5 times. So in that time, I was one of the top 30 contributors every year to the Drupal core mainly. This is my project page. So mainly I've worked on the ecosystem around Search API Solr, facets, those kind of things, and around 370-ish issues in core. I maintain a couple of modules, but as you can see, mainly Search API stuff. That's the bulk of it. So let's talk about some other things. Like, if you want to contribute to Drupal, you need to know some terminology that's specific to Drupal. Well, some of the things are not super specific to Drupal. Like, you may see needs work at NW, like you move an issue to needs work. So that's what you usually do on your projects as well. You move an issue to needs work if work needs to be done. Like needs review also kind of makes sense. RTBC is already kind of special since it means reviewed and tested by the community, but we're all community, so it means basically there used to be a rule that you are not allowed to move an issue to RTBC when you have written all of the code or written any code. And nowadays we say if you haven't done anything major on the writing of an issue, you can move it to RTBC. And actually, if you have written part of it or you've heavily been involved in the discussion of moving an issue, then your qualification of moving it to RTBC counts higher because you know what you're talking about because you have participated in this issue actively. So this is a thing that we have now changed. And then there's the like, I don't know, like they pronounce it pony. I don't know why. Postponed maintainer needs more information. This is a thing that we're actively trying to use more in core to ensure that issues don't die in the issue queue. And then there's fixed, and automatically after 2 weeks, an issue moves from fixed to closed fixed. And once it's in the second state, it means that it no longer shows up in your dashboard when there's a new comment on it. And it also means that contribution credit is now locked in. So before it moves to closed fixed, you can still attribute your company or attribute, like say that you've done this all in your free time. But once it's closed fixed, it's locked in. So, and then there's tags. So there's an issue tags field on when you create an issue. And this is, like I maintain the facets module. I'm a co-maintainer for that module. I sometimes see an issue in the facets issue queue, and it will have a tag facets, comma, facet, comma, search, comma, and then something else. Like, I know this is about search, I know this is about facets, this is not meta tags that you use on a website, it's for categorization of a maintainer to like tag their issues. Like, this is not something that you use in a way that you just like keyword stuff something. Like this just for categorization purposes. So, but this is like some words about this, but how do you actually find the right issue to work on? Well, first of all, you can start by the things that really annoy you, fix those, or try to fix those, or at least document them. So if other people are also super annoyed by it, then we know this. And then if you fixed everything that's super annoying to you and you want to do more, then there's low-hanging fruit, like easy things to work on. Sometimes this is documentation, sometimes this is translation, but those are actually not easy per se. But there are some novice issues that you can use. There's highly active initiatives you can help work on. For example, there's the needs review queue initiative that checks the needs review queue to see it doesn't get too long. Because there used to be a time that an issue could be in needs review for like months on end. It used to, at the worst, I know it was like 800 issues. Nowadays, it's closer to 150, which is a lot more maintainable for the maintainers of core. There's Bug Smash, which helps smash bugs. There's Drupal CMS, and an interesting thing about Starshot and Drupal CMS is that every module that's included in Drupal CMS counts the same way for your contribution credit as Drupal core does. For a limited amount of time, it's not going to be a complete thing for the entirety of the project, but now if you contribute to Search API, it counts the same way as it does to Drupal core. Because contribution is weighted by installs, usually with this exception. And then there's contributed project blocker, which is a tag that's being added to issues in core that are blocking other projects to work. And you can filter on all of these things through the advanced search in core. You can also participate in meetings. For example, the recipes initiative is quite active, has a bi-weekly meeting that you can help in. Like, it's also quite interesting to help support your local camp. And I'm pretty sure that if you want to help run this event next year, like, the organizers will be very happy. And it's a thing that you can work on without having to spend technical time as well. You can move an issue towards needs review or towards RTBC, but you have to follow up as well. Sometimes you need to get an issue to RTBC, it's a needs review, and no one wants to RTBC it. Like, one superpower to get it from there to the next stage is actually writing tests. Like, writing tests for an issue on Drupal.org is a superpower to get it to the next step. It usually also helps you get better at your day job because you think about the implications of your code, and when you're doing it on core, you have to document those implications. But thinking about the implications of your change in relation to all the possible implementations of this piece of code is a good thing to do in your day job as well, in my opinion. And if it's stuck in RTBC, then you could have a problem, but one way around it is finding a review buddy, finding someone you can talk to, like that you can toss issues back and forth with. Like trading reviews, but also making sure that if you RTBC something and they haven't commented on this issue, you can send them like it's been stuck here for 2 weeks, can you like say it's also good in your opinion? Like, multiple RTBCs is not a bad thing. It's not frowned upon, it's actually a good thing. And you can build up domain-specific knowledge. For example, you can become the PHP unit test discovery expert, or the Search API database views plugins expert, or whatever. Like, building up domain-specific knowledge allows you to become a trusted reviewer. Someone that people know, like Like this person has commented on this piece of the code, they know a lot about it, like I'm gonna trust them. This is a timely thing to do, like it will cost you some time, but getting there, you need to understand scopes and gates, making sure that an issue is not scoped too widely or too narrowly, like the right scope, which is mostly done by feel, I guess, but a goodly scoped issue is more likely to get in quickly, and you need to make sure that an issue is thorough, it's complete, and it has past accessibility gate, documentation, front-end gate, performance gate, testing gate, and the usability gate. Sometimes an issue doesn't concern usability at all, but if you can just say like, this has no usability implication, then you know that you've thought about this gate, or you know you thought about the important big parts of it, and it can be moved on more quickly. You have to like check if something is complete, of course, and you don't have to push something forward if you're not sure. And actually, you can push something back if you're not sure about it as well. So for example, a couple of years ago, we added the cache redirects. Christian van den Ende worked on that, and it allows a cache item to be stored under different tags if it ends up being the same thing. Like, I wasn't sure about us doing this because we added a lot of complexity to an already complicated part of the system of Drupal core. Like, the cache layer is already super complicated. We were adding like a lot of code to it. Voicing that opinion on the issue made sure that there was more documentation on it, that we added more tests, and because of that, it got in. And there's been 3 bugs on that system in the last 2.5 years. I am not saying that I'm responsible for this, but what I did is I voiced my opinion, and everyone can do this. We can say like, are we sure we want to do this? That's something that we can all do and that brings value. And related to that is your communication style, because most of the time, most things are done in people's free time. Like I maintain Search API in my free time. Like consider that when you're talking to someone, you can't go into an issue queue and say like, I demand you fix this tomorrow. Like, no, like I have my godchild I want to see today. I'm not gonna spend time on Drupal or whatever reason. Like if you talk to people in a respectful and calm way, usually you get more done. And that helps you. It helps when you assume people are doing things with best intentions. And who here is a native English speaker? I guess no one is. Like in issue queue, it's actually quite similar. A lot of contributors are from Europe. They don't speak English as their first language. If you see something that's written quite weirdly or quite awkwardly, it might just be a translation thing. So give people some slack. And when you communicate in Slack, also try to do it in open channels. Like if you talk to someone in an open channel, then someone else can jump in as well. Try to use DMs as little as possible, because that's just better for documentation and stuff. When you work in Drupal for a long time, you tend to get some mentors. They are people that know more than you or know more about a specific part. There's a way on Drupal.org to display your mentors. These are people that have meant a lot to me in my career as a speaker, as a developer, as a human being. Like, listen to them when they have opinions. You might disagree, but like at least the extra added information might be good. And as a related part, you can find your community, your tribe, your friends. Like for me, in 2012, I started working for a new company, and we did a Search API sprint there. So I joined in and I helped work on Search API. And at DrupalCamp Amsterdam, 2 years later, I was also at the Search API table, and then another couple of years later, I was at the Search API table in Barcelona working on stuff, and then In 2016, I went to DrupalCon in Dublin, and I got to speak for the first time at a DrupalCon, which was quite an achievement for me. Like in this picture is Nick. Nick is the Search API Solr maintainer. He currently is like some kind of director at GitLab. But my very first presentation I did together with him, the presentation I did at DrupalCon in Dublin, the first question I got after the session was about Solr, and I had no idea. But he maintained it, so he was like, he came up to me, took the microphone, answered the question, and everything was fine. Because the person had their answer, and I was sure that the next time I got a question, if I didn't know the answer, he might, or someone else in the audience might. So this kind of working together, or this kind of friendship that you create, it has been super valuable to me. And like contributing to open source in general and Drupal specifically might help you gain those kind of relations as well. I've been doing a lot of work on course configuration schema and configuration schema validation together with Wim. Wim has been my review buddy on a lot of core issues as well. So I just send him like 5 issues, and then 2 days later they are reviewed. Usually they are put back to needs work because I didn't do everything completely correctly, but sometimes they move to RTDC. He does the same. He usually throws some issues my way as well. That works really well because we end up like knowing the things we are both working on. We end up being somewhat of an expert on that specific domain, and people tend to trust us. Like if the both of us think it's a good idea, it might actually be a good idea. It might not, but you never know. And sometimes you get to do fun stuff together with that same person as well. In this case, we ran the 10 kilometers of Ghent in Belgium, the hometown of where Wim is from. Like he ran together with his 7-month-old in the stroller and still ran faster than me, but that's a different story. And then like I said earlier, I was the lead organizer of Drupal Dev Days this year. And like this is also a part of what makes life fun for me is organizing things. And you also get to have a group of people do that together with you, and that's super fun. So I found my people, and I hope for you to find your people in Drupal or in open source as well. And sometimes that means you end up standing on top of a mountain drinking beers like a day before an event starts. Or like this weekend, I'm here together with my brother. He flew in together with me. We've spent some time today like walking the city. Yesterday we went for some drinks. Like spending time at Drupal events is not just a professional thing. It can be a super fun thing as well. And I want to like give you that information or that vibe as well too. Like it's not just a technical thing. Okay, I was supposed to talk my session was supposed to be like 25 minutes. I went a lot faster than I intended, so I'm actually already done. I have a questions slide, but I'm not sure if this session is like super inductive to asking questions. So I want to thank you all for your attention. And if you have any questions, then now is a good time. Yeah?
So my experience with the Drupal core contribution, actually not only core, is that sometimes maybe my curve writes in English, but I feel many times that guys like Laralan and like other core contributors usually ignoring my opinion in any issues. Like most of the issues, my comments are totally ignored, or like just decline it without explanation or something. And I saw it a couple of times. My other friends or contributor agreed that it was like ignored, and I feel like I don't understand something, and it's like you probably need to have some friends who is core contributor to get into it and prove, and like you need to have some friends to be part of it. Like what you can suggest, you can see.
Okay. Yeah, that's a super difficult question because I don't know the specifics of that issue, but I guess talking to them is like like the best way forward? Like maybe have a discussion either on an open channel or maybe first in a direct message. Like is there something? Is there a reason why this was not thought about, or why is this? Because it's a thing that we as contributors all, like, you think about the things that are in your head and write something based on that, but it's not we don't all have the same background information, and I think we could all do better on this. So if there's a comment you posted and it seems to be ignored, then I guess you should start by asking them why it's not. Yeah, they didn't do more with this information, I guess.
I don't want to chat with them in Slack.
Okay, yeah, but yeah, there is, of course, there's always an escalation path through the Code of Conduct team or the community working group, the CWG. You can ask one of them to see, like, to help you resolve this issue, or if you know someone else that might be able to initiate some kind of conversation, that might be a way forward. Because I don't know any other way, I guess. Yeah.
Well, kind of early question, because we all know that issues in Drupal core came over years. What was the fastest closed issue on Drupal core?
The fastest closed issue on Drupal core. So I think maybe 3 or 4 months ago, I had an issue created by someone else, by Christian, and I RDBC'd it in less than an hour after it was created, and it was committed the day after, so within 20 hours, I would say. That's the fastest I've seen. But that's not your average issue. I mean, issues usually take a lot longer. This was only like a 4-line fix, so that might also help. I don't know. I guess, like, the big problem is that some people do super weird stuff with Drupal, and they write patches based on their super weird use cases, which are like the 0.1% use case, and like no one wants to maintain that long term, I guess, or that's one of the reasons maybe why issues aren't always going super fast. It's a difficult thing to know why the average is the way it is. But I think, we as a community are doing better mainly because of the Bug Smash initiative and the Needs Review Queue initiative, but there are still improvements to be made, I would say. Yeah.
That's it. Thank you for your presentation, first of all. What would be the best way of finding the most suitable mentor for you or for individuals?
Usually, the mentors I found are through events, through going to events and like an event with a contribution area and spending some time there. That's usually the way I found those people. Online, I'm not sure. But it might be like if you're doing a lot of work on the queue system, for example, look into who the queue maintainer is and like talk to them, like see if they have some high priority things that you can work with, and just like start by doing something very niche and then broaden from there, because then if you, for example, the queue system, that might be like 10 people interested in that. So if you work on 20 of those issues, then you will be noticed by their maintainer, and then that's your starting point. I think that would be my way if I were to do it all again today. Okay, I guess we're out of questions. So you can talk to me later if that's preferred. So thank you.